Senator Reynolds.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. I too rise to speak on the Greens' motion and, again, support and endorse everything that Senator Steele-John has just said. And one of the things we have in common is that we believe truth matters in this place. It still matters, and it should always, and it must always matter. And as Senator Birmingham said, lies, damn lies, and the Lodge. And it's not just in the Lodge where we're seeing that occur. We've seen it now for the 2 years almost by the Minister for the NDIS, Bill Shorten. He and the Labor Party came to a fork in the road on the NDIS on the scheme that they legislated, which, while doing wonderful things for hundreds of thousands of Australians, it was flawed from its inception. And rather, when, as Minister, I called it out and I said publicly that this was a scheme that was on a rapidly accelerating pathway to failure without fundamental reform. Now, he and the Labor Party could have taken the high road and actually said, yes, we will join you in fixing this scheme and putting it on a sustainable pathway for participants and their families, who have now come to rely on this life-changing scheme in so many ways. But instead of doing that, Bill Shorten, what did he do?
Senator Reynolds.
Mr Shorten, my apologies, Minister Shorten, what did he do? He played politics, which he does extraordinarily well. There's no problem with this scheme, there's nothing to fix, nothing to see here. When we come into government, there will be no cuts because there is nothing fundamentally wrong with this scheme. And I think deep in their hearts, many in the sector knew that he was promising something that he could not deliver. And in government, instead of taking the hard decisions, the decisions that need to be taken, and they need to be taken now, we've already extended the hand of bipartisanship multiple times to Minister Shorten. But again, they just hope they can keep up the pretence that this scheme is sustainable. And as Senator Steele-John has said, how are they doing that? They're hiding the figures. They're hiding the sustainability framework, which apparently is magically going to solve this. But the problem is the sustainability framework, they've also said, doesn't exist. And they have cut reduced the forward projections down to 8%. But they have not said how they're going to do this. And I now see why they hid the AFSR for so long, because they're saying that this is changes to assumptions, and that can only be in two areas. There are two levers of cost. Either they're going to significantly reduce the number of NDIS participants, or they're going to cut plans. There is no other way to do that. And somehow, mystically, magically, the states and territories have agreed that they will fund the difference, one presumes. And apparently they're also going to fund all of the additional autism supports, particularly early intervention that's needed. Of course they're not. Apparently they're also going to now provide the support for the other over 2 million people with disability who have psychosocial disorders, who have any other disability. Apparently they're going to find the funding now, extra billions and billions of dollars, not only to fill this gap, but also to provide those community services in less than 3 years' time. Now, you only have to have a look at the AFSR to see very clearly what it is hiding. We've got the projected scheme expenses, which even the Labor Party and the actuary says in this will go up to 2016-2017. And they've actually got the projections of people and package costs. But all of a sudden there's a big gap to 32-33. And they've just made these wild assumptions about these big cuts that are going to happen to the NDIS, but they've hid the data. We don't have any of the actuarial data that actually underpins how they're going to make these cuts. Now, as Senator Steele-John said, people with disability and their families and people in this chamber and the rest of Australians are not stupid. But Labor Party is now going into an election year perpetuating the myth, the cruel myth, the cruelest of all myths on people with disability, that this is not going to be cut. Well, I say
Your
shame
time
on you.
has
People
expired.
deserve much better than that.